I'm Tom, and let's talk about very quickly Daniel Dubois versus Alexander Usyk. It seems like it's being finalised. Mike Coppinger reported today, which is the 14th of April. It's being finalised for July at Wembley. Few things to unpack there. One, July, right? Two, Wembley Stadium. Three, obviously undisputed. Clearly, there's no plans to vacate. Was it the IB? No, it wasn't the IBF. It was WBA. Or the WB, I think it's WBA, maybe WBI, but whichever one Joseph Parker's mandatory for, there was a bit of a conversation around, will Joseph Parker be able to have that fight? And then the winner of that, which will be Usyk, go on to fight Dubois and Dubois rematch AJ in the interim? Or will Usyk vacate that belt and then, Parker will fight someone like AJ and then Usyk versus Dubois will happen and the winners face each other and another undisputed? Obviously, neither, because at the end of the day, they've enforced this mandatory that, Parker's next, Parker's in line, but then haven't enforced the mandatory. Why, have they done that for step-aside money? Have they done that so that they can get some money to be allowed to go and actually, Usyk's presumably paid them a bit of money so that they can go on and have that fight, right? Have they done it so that they can get that money, that sort of step-aside, will turn a blind eye money? I don't know. I mean, it's all boxing politics, right? But why have you called the mandatory to then not enforce the mandatory? It makes no sense to me. And I think Joseph Parker's been extremely hard done by yet again. He's been overlooked and misled and misrepresented yet again. And I do think the fact he's represented by Frank Warren will have had a hand to play in this. And I do feel bad for him. Now, let's divert back to this fight. Usyk versus Dubois 2. Am I interested? Look, it's top heavyweights fighting each other. Of course I'm interested, right? It's Usyk fighting. Of course I'm interested. Dubois with his power and his sort of excitement as one style go forward. Of course I'm interested. Do I think it's needed? No. Do I think it's deserved? Not really. And the reason I say that is because when you've got Caballero and Joseph Parker on the interim who haven't had shots yet at a title, let alone Usyk, Dubois hasn't, if he beats one of them, okay. But he hasn't. Do you know what I mean? And he had a shot at Usyk quite recently. But that's boxing, isn't it? That's boxing politics. Wembley Stadium. Do I think it sells at Wembley? I think it will. It's not going to break any records. It's not going to do AJ versus Dubois, because let's have it right, AJ sold at Wembley. So it's not going to do that. It's not going to break any records or set the world alight. But what it will do is eventually sell out 80,000 tickets, potentially 90, but it does 80,000, I reckon. Not quickly, not easily, not guaranteed. I think it'll do 80,000 tickets. I think Usyk is now a big pull. Just he is. He dethroned AJ twice, dethroned Tyson Fury twice, and they are massive names. And I think the way he's inhaled that and taken it into his stride has meant that he is now a big name. So he's not going to do a bad job, and neither is Dubois, right? So it will do that. I think perhaps a Tottenham sells like Tottenham quite comfortably. That's where it probably should have been. But Wembley Stadium, okay. In July, yeah, I don't hate it. Problem is, I don't think this fight's any different. For me, it needs a stacked undercard, because I would go and watch this with a good undercard. I'm not watching the main event. I'm not going all the way to Wembley. Like, as in I go to watch it live. I'm not going all the way to Wembley to watch it live just for this fight. Because in my mind, I know everyone's saying that Dubois is leaps and bounds better than the last time he fought Usyk. I just don't think he is. I just don't think I've seen enough from Dubois to think that he's really going to beat Usyk. Unless Usyk's massively slipped, which, hey, that's a possibility. We haven't seen him since the Fury fight, which was a long time ago, back in December, and Father Time waits for no one, but also those grueling fights must have taken something out of him. So I haven't seen enough to say that I think Dubois is better than Usyk then, but we don't know how much Usyk slipped, right? But I'm not going to go and watch it for that. I think it's being overplayed. Let's look at his fights, right? The Jarrell Miller one that he went toe-to-toe with, life and death with, his dad's coming and started shouting at him. It wasn't that impressive, in my mind. That's just my opinion. There we are. Then the Hrgovic fight that he had to wait, that he won through stoppage, but for the first couple of rounds, it was looking like it was only going one-way traffic. He was getting beaten up, couldn't dodge the right hands at all. Hrgovic just had no power. That's why AJ was such a big favourite. And then the AJ one. I actually watched the fight. That first sort of 30, 45 minute and a half, AJ was doing fine. He was doing fine. He was just weathering the storm. Dubois was coming on to him a million miles an hour, weathering the storm, landing a few pot shots, fine. dropped his hands, gets clipped by a punch that would have knocked 90% of the boxers out, and then eventually basically, got stopped because of that punch. But up to that point, he wasn't doing anything bad. But again, I don't take anything away. That performance was impressive, and he's got to be super, super confident. That doesn't matter. It's Usyk, and those 3 fights for me, don't say to me, yeah, you're going to beat Usyk. Do you know what I mean? I don't think so. So I'll break this down more and more as it sort of expands, as we know more, as it develops. But it looks like we're going to get Usyk versus Dubois 2 at Wembley Stadium. You can let me know your thoughts on all that in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and comment, subscribe. You know how all this works, people. Peace.